Shalom everybody. I go by the appellation of Melchizedek ban Shal Yahuwah Elohim. That means Melchizedek, the son of the Most High Power. We are the children of the Most High. I come from one of the 12 tribes of the holy nation of Israel. We are descendants of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, descendants of Shem, Noah, Adam, and Eve. In today's video, we're going to be learning a lot about HJR 192, the discharge of debt, why the government is obligated for discharging our debt because we lost our ability to pay, because our gold and silver was abrogated from us. And I feel like there's a lot of information that people are not bringing out pertaining to this particular subject. So I want to shine some light on those things that the other folks been blind about, and I hope someone else, fill in the gaps that I've been blind about. I do not profess to know everything. You can pretty much say that I'm still learning, although I know a lot. There's always more to learn, and there's a lot of stuff going on that's not being fully disclosed to us. If you're a believer in the Most High Power, Yahuwah Elohim, hallelujah, I'm pretty sure you believe that we're in the end times. It's so-called August 14th, 2015. According to our Hebraic time, it is the 26th day. Actually, let me make sure. Got a couple of documents we're going to go through today. Hold on 1 second, my loves. Gotta make sure. I believe we're in the 26th day of the 5th month called Ab, according to the Hebraic calendar. We're in the first day of the week. Yesterday was Shabbat. Hope you guys had a wonderful Shabbat rest. Those of y'all who keep commandment, those of y'all who keep covenant, and use the sun, star, and moon as your clock like Yah commanded. So, hold on, here we go. Let's go to the 5th month. Alright, we're in midsummer, the middle of summer. Alright, what's this right here? Alright, here we are. And we just got out of Shabbat. Alright, so we're in the 27th day of the 5th month. I'm happy that I paused to actually take a look. So we're in the 27th day of the 5th month called Ab, and we're in the first day of the week, which people so calls Friday. So by the way, we're in the 5th portal, the 5th gate. For y'all who, like I said, keep covenant, and those of y'all who read the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilees, and understand the book of creations in Genesis, Barushit in Ibrit. So with that said, there's a lot of stuff we're going to be learning today about discharge of debt and who's really obligated for discharging this debt, and what laws what laws entitle you to even say such thing. We never heard of such thing that the government or the United States is obligated to discharge our debt. We used to believe that we are obligated to discharge our debt, but little do you know and remember is that they lost your stuff and owe you something. They lost your gold and silver and they owe you something. And they did give you something. It's called HJR 192. Chapter 48 statute at large, which they call 48 stat 112. So if you actually go into these laws, into these bills, into these regulations, into these statutes, these bylaws, you'll be able to actually use this information to free yourself. So that is my intent today, is to kind of give you a piece to the puzzle. Like I said, I don't profess to know it all. I know a little something, enough to get by, enough to get around. But you're going to have to do your own due diligent research after hearing what you hear today. By the way, this was the man that caused all of this to happen, the bankruptcy of the United States in 1933. HJR 192 of June 5th of 1933. Same time they abrogated the gold, and we went into administration law ever since then. Administrative law under Title 5 United States Code. This bankruptcy law, administrative law, made everything pretty much a credit-based system, credit debtor-based system. Credit, and you know, credit is pretty much like a tab. Like, hey, you owe me something, throw it on my tab. You know what I'm saying? You got the credit already, the credibility, the accountability, you see? So the abrogation of gold and silver actually changed the entire law of the United States. Because it states in the United States, in America's law, pardon me, there's a difference between the all caps United States, and there is a difference between the upper and lowercase America. That's the best way for me to show you it. The United States is not United States as in like states joined up together. Matter of fact, if you take a look at things and examine things well, they're actually divided now. America is divided upon itself. They're dividing us and conquering us and intruding our rights and privacy and implementing their own laws on our soil, on our land, in our backyard. This is our land. We are so-called sovereigns, which means we're autonomous, we're self-regulating. But when the U.S. corporation came in, they stripped all Americans in the upper and lowercase spelt name from all of their sovereignty, from all of their rights, you see, via the birth certificate and the social security agreement card. You see? So you've been pledged for the national debt. And this is why it seems like you're indebted, but the truth to it is that that birth certificate is a bond. It's worth over $100 billion. And they actually trade it in the stock market for valuable consideration, which you never valuably receive. So you've been lied to, you've been duped, you've been robbed, you've been tricked, and it's all because of these people that you once trust in these nice suits, these red ties, their hair all combed nice with jelly on it, and they're like nice little smiles, smiling in your face all the time. And it's always a lie, just like Obama. Oh, a change we can believe in. Sure. I'm tired of people laughing and smiling for no reason. You know, like, they're always smiling at you because they know if they have a welcoming appearance, you'll receive them into your home. So you've accepted these governmental people into your home, America. And what they did was set up base in D.C., which is really the District of Columbians, District of Columbia. Why the heck do we have Colombians running the Federal Reserve Bank? Matter of fact, the Treasury, the United States Treasury, which are the ones who are overseeing, administering, and custodying your account, which is your Social Security, because it's an account, is connected to an actual bank account, and there's a routing number on the back, and you can use it to discharge debt via HJR 192, the remedy and all this stuff, you know, which we're going to learn today. But I got to give you a brief introduction because I'm not going to assume that everybody knows what's going on. We've been scammed. We've been defrauded. We've been lied to. We've been deceived. And if you read scripture and believe in the Most High Power, Yah, then you must believe that Satan has come down on earth with a little bit of time and great wrath. So woe to earth and woe to you who won't listen and receive me today. Because this is for your own good and yours only. I'm moving up. I'm taking a time out to help you, to lend a hand so you don't fall off. So the Federal Reserve Treasury has actually been sold to Puerto Rico. So now Puerto Rico is the one who actually owns our social securities and these birth certificates and all that. And matter of fact, America been foreclosed on. The United States been in debt for a while. It's been foreclosed on. And guess who the United States is indebted to? They're indebted to the Federal Reserve District of Columbians, BAR. The British Admiralty realm, British Admiralty rules, the British administrative regulations, the British people again, just like Christopher Columbus. The whole reason why the first two wars had happened in America against these banks and the King of England and the Queen and all that and the Pope that like poking little boys' butts. The same ones that give you Christianity, the same ones that give you Catholic. and the same one that actually gave you Islam. These people are the beasts that Yah was talking about, and that whore is the Pope, Mary and all this stuff, but not the real Mary, the pale-skinned one with leprosy, the Zeus, Jesus, Jehovah, Jay-Z, whatever you want to call that demon, Jesus or whatever, with pale skin, with leprosy. So these people are the same people who brought you these religions to convert you. They're the same ones who brought you your schools so they can reprogram you, and it's been working well. And they're the same ones who actually are funding your churches. Ask yourself, how does a pastor keep a church so big like that up with no money and it's non-profit? Because non-profit doesn't mean they don't get donations. So they make money off of you, man. They parasites, they living off of you. And they've actually been making the Bible, the scripture, Hatanah, the Torah, they've been making it look bad. So they've been defrauding Yah. They've been making our maker look bad. And they're trying to prove to us through their wrongdoing that our God don't exist and that we best to join them if we want to live. Forget living and forget their mark of the beast and forget food and water too if that's what they're going to be trying to use against me to get my consent. I'd rather die. Death before dishonor. So America been under a wave of attack by the United States, which is not America, and it's not States United, it's a corporation. Actually, it's not just a corporation, it's an international, a non-national, international, intercorporation, intercontinental. It is a nation within a nation, a corporation within a corporation, a society within a society, and you've been initiated into this junk. You've been caused to submit to them. And they have not told you this for all your life. So this is the reason why I come with this video today, to help y'all who don't know the truth. Because I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. And you should be sick and tired of it, unless you're dumber than dumb. Like dumb within a dumb. It's like an international intercorporation. So if we're dealing with corporations, say for instance if Walmart came up to you and be like, hey, you breached our contract, I'm going to sue you. And you don't work for Walmart, what would you say? Would you be like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry? Like, what would you do if Walmart came up to you and said, hey, you broke your contract with us? What would be the first thing you ask? Do we have a contract existing between us? So if that is that question right there will dismiss pretty much everything. It should, right? Do we have a contract together? What can your answer be? Either yes or no. If it's yes, prove it on it for the record. If no, then get the hell out of my face. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no contract with you. Now I'm going to sue you because you lied. You committed perjury. You were trying to scam me, extort me, embezzle me, defraud me. You know what I'm saying? So America pretty much did that to you. I mean, not America, pardon me. America is the land, the United States is the corporation, and the feds is the creditors of the United States corporation, because the United States corporation is indebted to the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the bar, which is the crown in England. We're indebted to England. And they're coming back for their people, they're coming back for their stuff, and they're definitely coming back for niggas. They were the ones who took us out of our land through the transatlantic trade slave, the transatlantic slave trade. When they had took us off from West Africa and all this junk and ran us out of Israel and all this junk, we're running through Africa. Amexam Al-Kabulon is the real name. Running through so-called Africa and stuff, you know what I'm saying, to get away from these persecutors, and we end up being sold at the west border, the west bank of Africa, into America, into IET, into things like that. Most of us are Israelites. And Yah said he would do that to us because of our disobedience to him. These are the devil. You see these people face right here? This guy called Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He was the one who caused all this to happen. Because they went into bankruptcy, they needed some solution. And the only solution to all the debt that they owed to England was to pledge us as collateral via the Social Security card, which is a security agreement. So the birth certificate is a warehouse receipt. It's proof that the doctor had received the product which the mother delivered, like a product, a shipment from her birth canal. Admiralty language. So they're trying to say that you are a vessel, a shipment, a product, a cattle. Matter of fact, the numbers on the front of that social is actually a cattle number. They should have just steamed it on your ass, like they used to do it with the cows back then, when they want to keep track of inventory. They're trying to track you down and hunt you down like a dog. Why you think they got all these cameras everywhere now? Think about it. Illuminati runs America, and Illuminati is ill light. They're illuminescent, children of the devolved. And here they are right here. So take a good look at them, because these are the men who did this to you. And as you can tell, there is no niggas in here. There's no freaking Negroes, which are really called Hebrew Israelites. There's no Hebrew Israelites here. These are our enemy. So forgive me, I'm not talking about every white person, because I'm not biased, prejudiced, or racist, or nothing like that, or discriminative. But I do prejudge what I know is wrong. And these people, I don't need to know who they are. As long as they're there and they agree with one another, they're all guilty as charged. They're guilty by association. If you're associating with a criminal, of course you're going to be looked at as a criminal. And we may need to investigate you just to see what you know about him or her. You know what I'm saying? We want to know what you know about him. You need to be investigated, because you were in their circle. You were there when he written this law. What was the conversations you guys discussed behind the people's back? You know what I'm saying? So if you associated with them, you can be questioned. You're questionable. And now I'm curious. And I hope y'all start taking notes and ask questions. So pretty much America been indebted or pretty much stripped of its sovereignty. America does not exist anymore as what you thought it was. The American Constitution is dissolved. It's completely obsolete. To even talk about constitutional rights in courts is just, it's a waste of your time, breath, and just mind. The only things that they listen to now is statutes. They're trying to copy the Most High, because the Most High told us to keep His law, statutes, and commandments. But now they're giving us command. They're giving us statutes. They're taking God out of the Constitution. They're taking God out of, they're taking Yah out of everything. You know what I'm saying? Out of school. And if you even talk about Yah, you know what I'm saying? You can actually get in trouble and lose your job. Make no sense. But they can talk about the enemy all day. I'm not even going to say his name. And if you don't know about him, then you need to start reading your Bible, your scripture. Because the enemy is down here, man. And there's going to be a big, big war. Yes, there will be. And I pray there is, because this got to stop, you know. So, with that said, because we lost all our gold and silver because of this man right here pledging us and stuff as collateral, we became the credit for the United States corporation and the Federal Reserve creditors, you see? And the Federal Reserve pretty much have a lien on the United States. So when you say that you're a United States citizen, that means you are a member of a sinking ship. That means you have no standing, you have no rights, you have no sovereignty. It's been relinquished. So when you call yourself a citizen, it's not really a good thing. And when they make you become a citizen, it is not a good thing. They're actually stripping you of your God-given rights, your Yah-given rights. You see? And now you're obligated to pay the creditor, the Federal Reserve Bank, because you said that you are a citizen. You are a debtor, in other words, a 14th and 15th Amendment slave. Look it up. 14th and 15th Amendment slave. And they also actually changed the 13th Amendment with 20 sections to something else. So if you want to know the true 13th Amendment, which was what Abraham Lincoln used to emancipate the so-called Negroes, which means to free them, look up the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. That is the original true 13th Amendment. And you got remedies in it. In this modern day 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, you have no rights. And when I say amendments, I'm not talking about the American Constitution. I'm talking about the state constitution, the state corporation. Because not only did the United States Incorporated become a corporation, and America died, and so it did its people, and people became U.S. citizens instead of American members of the American populace or community. But the states also became corporate too. They're called subdivisions, agencies, bureaus. This is all commercial and business language, terminology. So if you're within one of the states, the 50 states, you pretty much are a corporation too. In their Black's Law Dictionary, a corporation means person. So every time you say you're a person, you're literally saying I'm a corporation. They changed up the context of the words. Human being in their Black's Law Dictionary, in the government's Law Dictionary, human being literally means sea monster or monster. Look it up. Where am I lying? A person means corporation, and a human being means a monster. A driver means an officer of the state corporation traveling in a registered state vehicle, like a police car, ambulance, airplane, a bus. Those things you need a driver's license for, because you are working for the state. You know what I'm saying? And the vehicle of theirs must be registered. When you go and register your own automobile, your own private conveyance, you know what I'm saying? You actually give up more rights. And so they give you a lie to your sense. A damn plate that makes you feel like, hey, if I have this on, I can travel. That's what they want you to feel. They don't ever want you to rebel against him. Satan don't want you to go against him. Satan wants you to rebel against Yah, and you have. What the heck is a lie to your sense? What, do I need a license to walk to and breathe? Do I need a license to hug my children? Actually, it's getting to that point. They force you to get a birth certificate before you leave the hospital. I would think 5 times before I go to one to have a birth. On some real stuff. Because nothing is what you think it is, and the doctor is just a docker. And guess what B-E-R-T-H means? Birth. It means to dock something, to put a ship to a stop. You see? And to put something to a stop means it's dead, like a heart with no pulse. So if it's dead, it's what? A corpse. And what's a corpse? A dead body. A state. A corporation. You became a dead entity. Not a living, breathing, flesh and blood man. But the truth to that is, that's not truly you. It's the straw man they created. And you're not responsible for it at all. But you didn't know this. You've been taking responsibility of that straw man corporation entity the whole time. And what I mean by straw man corporational entity, the all caps name. Because we know in America, in proper grammar, you do not spell a living, breathing, flesh and blood man or woman's name in all caps unless you're screaming it out. Malakizadak! You know? But the government's not arrogant like that. You know? And they're not that stupid. So obviously the all caps name denotes something special. It has a special signification. A special significance. They're using it to denote a corpse, a corporation. Now go back, look at your birth certificate, look at your social, look at some of your bills, look at your driver's license. It's all in all capital letters. So they're not referencing to you, they're referencing to your entity. Now that's a little too, it's going to be too deep for me to go into too much explanation about how this all occurred, because a lot of things happen and a lot of things are still happening, and things are happening so quick many people won't be able to keep up, and we're preparing to be attacked. I hope you're being prepared for it. If not, you're going to be caught like a thief in the night, off guard. Bam! In the twinkling of an eye, everything changed. And you see these men right here? The Most High is going to wipe them out. And when they die, their soul is going straight to Sheol, Gehenna, Tartarus. And they will be sealed in that bottomless pit for eternity, burning and burning and burning forever. All of the wicked. If you're wicked, you shall burn with them. If I'm wicked, I shall burn with them. Whoever's wicked is going to hell. They shall burn. And I hope they burn. And they deserve to burn, because of all the things they've done, and they think they're going to live a nice old age and die and go to heaven. Hell no. I'll beat his ass if he was up there too. I'll stomp them down if I seen them up there because of what they did. They don't deserve to be in heaven. No way. They deserve to be in jail, spiritually and physically. So with that said, we pretty much, the social is an account, the bond is a receipt, proof that something been exchanged or pledged, or you own a business. And we've been given a remedy because of them losing our gold and silver, which is HJR 192, 48 stat 112, public law 73-10, and a couple of other stuff. So in this particular video, we're going to be digging into those actual laws to find remedy. So I hope you guys are ready. I hope most of you guys understand what I was saying. If you don't understand the whole all caps, I was about to say theory, but it's not. But if you don't understand the whole all caps name concept, please look up these names right here. Write this down, take note. Straw man. Giggle all you want. They did that on purpose, so when it's said, you can think someone's crazy. Like when you go to court and you're in there saying, I'm not the straw man, I'm not the straw man, like when the Wizard of Oz. People's going to laugh at you. And that's exactly why they chose that name, to mask what they're doing, the concept of the all caps name. So look up straw man. That's one word, compound word. And look up also legal fiction. So the straw man is legal. It's a legal straw man, a legal fiction, a scapegoat, a scarecrow, a distraction. So look up straw man, look up legal fiction, look up artificial person, which technically means corporation, artificial person. And when you look up these three things, trust me, it's going to lead you to other stuff, and things are going to be popping up left, popping up right. You're going to be like, yo, dang, he wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. My government ain't what I think they are. Hell no. So if you go right here to Title 1, I believe this is in the United States Code. Hold on one second. Let me fix this up right here. Pardon me. Alright, so do some research on those names that I suggested to you and get acquainted with the terminology, because it will begin to save you. Before I begin, there is a solution to this. There is still hope. There is still light. It seems like the end of the world, but for the righteous is just the beginning. For the wicked is the end, because knowledge shall destroy ignorance. So the Title 1, United States Code, Section 112, General Provisions, Chapter 2, Acts and Resolutions, Solutions, Formalities of Enactment, Form of Enactment, Repeals, Sealing of Instruments, like the seal on your birth certificates. It's like a mortgage, actually, over your body. That's why police can take your body into custody, into storage house when they want, And the DCF, the Department of Child and Family Services, can take your children at any time because you pledged your child. And they can come take your car at any time because the title's like a mortgage. The title to your car, the title to your home, the title to your name is all like a birth certificate. You see, so a birth certificate is like a certificate of title. The birth certificate is like a mortgage. It gives you a lien or interest over property. That's why they had to minimize you down to cattle, into a property, into a product. And you are the source of life to the system, in other words, based on your work, energy, and time. Your labor, energy, and time. They feeding off of you. Plus they take income tax from you off of your hard work and toil. They did not earn as individual humans. Yeah, they're monsters. And the word individual too, individual. It's a bunch of wordplay because they say Satan is a wordsmith. He plays on the words and change up the context of the words, just like he changed up time. And he changed up the day of Shabbat. So why people go worship Baal on Sunday, worshipping the sun on the day they created for the sun. It's sun worship, man. And Saturn Day. People who think Saturn Day is the 7th day Adventist junk. You know what I'm saying? It's all a lie. Saturn Day, Satan's Day, Saturn's ring, Lord of the Rings, Lord. These words, man, I'm telling you, they changed up things. Even Jesus, Zeus, and Jehovah versus Hallelujah. Hallelujah? Man, it doesn't even sound right. And all these Jamaicans are ignorantly calling, oh, Jah. It sounds right, huh? They smoke a little too much weed. They need to put that thing down and stuff and realize that there ain't no J's in Hebrew. And that they're not just Jamaican, Haitian, African, and black. That they're actually potentially Hebrews. And the name of Yah in Hebrew is Yah. There is no J. So go do your own research if you don't believe me. Don't take it as if I'm attacking your belief or whatever. And if I am, it's only because you've been lying too much and you need to be put to a birth. To a stop. A doc. Call me the doctor. The doctor. Let's operate. So let's go ahead and dig into this. So section 112. Statutes at large. Like the word stat, which like right here, see how we say 61 stat? That means statute at large. This part right here, which says stat. So statutes at large, contents, admissibility in evidence. So this is admissible as proof. So the archivist of the United States Corporation, it doesn't need to say America for it to be the corporation. We know the United States is a corporation. So the archivist of the United States shall cause to be compiled, edited, indexed, and published the United States statutes at large. So the archivists of the United States are the ones that had caused to be compiled, edited, indexed, or marked, and published the United States statutes at large. Statutes of limitation, statutes of fraud, which shall contain all the laws, all the bylaws. So that contains all the bylaws. And concurrent resolutions and current solutions enacted during each regular session of Congress. And this is where this occurred. When Roosevelt was doing this, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt was doing this, that was like Congress in office. And these are Congress. The men part of the same congregation. Congregation, that's like saying tabernacle or church. So it's enacted during each regular session of the United States Corporational Church or congregation. So all proclamations, everything that they proclaim, like abrogating our gold, by the president. Roosevelt was president during that time. In the numbered series. Okay, so all proclamation of the president. In the numbered series in the numbered series, issued since the date of the adjournment of the regular session of Congress. So ever since they came to a verdict, a conclusion, a summary of the regular session of Congress next proceeding. And also any amendments to the Constitution of the United States. That's the Constitution of the state corporations. There's no more Constitution of America. There's only constitutions of the United States. So once again, they're word playing again. And what they call the Federal Reserve Bank is not the federal branch of the United States. It's a bank. So and also any amendments to the Constitution of the United States proposed or ratified pursuant to Article 5 thereof, Article 5 of the Judiciary Office, since that date. Alright, since that date, together with the certificate of the Archivist of the United States issued in compliance with the provision contained in Section 106B of this title. It's probably important to check that out. So in the event of an extra session of Congress, the Archivist of the United States shall cause all the laws and concurrent resolutions enacted during said extra session to be consolidated with, to put all the solutions together, and published as part of the contents of the volume for the next regular session. So there's different sessions of Congress. 73rd Congress, 74th Congress, 75th Congress, because Congress changes over time. People come and go, people quit, people get fired, new people are hired and things like that, swap and deal and, trying to put the right people in that criminal empire. So the United States statutes at large shall be legal evidence of laws. Boom. So when we go into HJR 192, you must understand that this is legal evidence, admissible evidence, proclaimed by the President. Concurrent resolutions, treaties, international agreements, other than treaties, proclamations by the President, and proposed or ratified amendments to the Constitution of the United States. So concurrent resolutions, treaties, international agreements, other than treaties, proclamations by the President, and proposed or ratified amendments to the Constitution of the United States, therein contained in the statutes at large. So the statutes at large is what gave life to statutes in the corporate sense. But the word statute was stolen from the Bible, because Yah told us to keep His laws, statutes, and commandments. And the devil, which is your government, wants us to keep their laws, their statutes, and what they command. So there's a conflict of interest. Who do you work for? You can't serve the government and Yah at the same time. Now what I mean by serving the government is by forgetting that you're here to work for Yah and to glorify Yah everywhere that you be, even if you're in government. There's nothing wrong with having a job or anything like that, but it does become wrong when you allow it to take you from your Creator. Because now Yah is a jealous Yah. He shall destroy you. And there's no way you'll escape. You can't just go over there and sleep with someone else and come back to your regular partner and be like, everything's fine. He or she will never know. That's called cheating. That's adultery. That's whoredom. Can't stray away from the Most High. And once you do, sometimes there's no way of coming back. That's why I'm happy I never made any major choices in my life that can affect my soul. Luckily. And I backed out of everything that I used to be in back then. Little young thug, gangster running around in the streets thinking he's somebody. Dumb stuff. Dumb stuff. So if you don't wake up in time, you're going to lose your soul. Yah will foreclose on it and take his soul back. He'll take his life back. And don't tell me he can't do it. He gave you life. He gave us all this. I'm pretty sure he can do the opposite. He can reverse what he had forwarded. So in all the courts of the United States, it shall be admissible in all courts of the United States, the several states, now that is the United States, the 50 states, because they're all part of this junk, and the territories and insular possessions of the United States. So wherever the name United States is, so that make you a statute citizen. If you're a United States citizen, a member of the statutes at large, then it apply to you. If you're not a member of that stuff, then it does not apply to you. Think about it. Remember what I asked you about the Walmart thing before? What if Walmart come up to you, or Jiffy Lube or McDonald's, like, hey, you broke your contract with us and you never had a contract with them? What would you say? Where is the contract? Prove it. Prove your claim. I conditionally accept everything you say if you can prove it. On and for the record. So our eyes can view it and examine it and pinpoint what you're saying. Show me in the paperwork or contract we have with us that say I cannot do this or I cannot do that. That I cannot travel without a lie to my sins. That I cannot travel without a driver's license as if I'm driving a bus or police car. Like I need to get registration. Like I need to register my vehicle and pledge it to you. Where does it say in your book that my child needs to have a birth certificate or I can't leave this hospital? Where in your book does it says that doctor is a doctor and my child's a product and not a flesh and blood living being? You show me in your book where it says that, and maybe I'll comply or I will resign my signature and consent from it. You know? So these right here, I believe, are amendments. You may want to check them out too. And it says right here in the amendments, etc., blah yada yada. So which transferred to the administrator of general services certain duties formerly performed by the Secretary of State. So these are all amendments. Before they came to that conclusion up there, they have went through all of these amendments. So if I was you, I would potentially sit down and check them all out when you have time. But you don't really need to check out the amendments because they've been upgraded anyway. We went from having a post office to having a postal service. So everything been changed to administrative or corporate law. Here's some more things on that. So the whole reason of me reading that first, alright, check this all out later. So the reason why I had read this to you first, to show you the admissible evidence that HJR 192 is not just a theory or, you know, things just spread around. Matter of fact, it was unlawful actually because of the Constitution. But now that we accepted the death of the Constitution of America and all that, we must use these remedies or we will be swallowed. Swallowed, I'm telling you. So I had to show you this to begin to warm you up, to show you where statutes come from. So I'm gonna go check out some of that other stuff later, but we got a lot of other stuff to read already. So let me go into the next thing. Alright, let's go ahead and dive into HJR 192. This is the original copy of it. It was very hard for me to actually find. I had to search everywhere and stuff, like the Most High Power said. The Most High Understanding, the Most High Knowledge. He tell us, seek all things, prove all things. Seek and you shall find. Ask and you shall be answered. Knock and he shall open. So what we're doing right now is doing what he told us to do. What he, the self-existing Yah, told us to do. Forget the government. All these laws only apply to your straw man, to your legal fiction, artificial person, dummy corporation they call it. So HJR 192, House Joint Resolution number 192, as passed by the 73rd Congress on June 5th, 1933. So what follows is an actual copy of HJR 192 as originally printed by the United States Government Printing Office, the GPO, in 1934. That was 1 year after HJR 192 was enacted. So note to reader, portions have been redacted to only show HJR 192. This is not the correct site to find this. So don't try to look at that source or look it up. If you want to, you could. I can't tell you what to do. You have free will is my whole point here. I don't consent to contract. So the statutes at large of the United States of America, and realize it's in all caps, from March 1933 to June 1934, concurrent resolutions, recent treaties and conventions, executive proclamations and agreements, 21st Amendment to the Constitution. So that's even more proof. That backs up what we just read before about the statutes at large being created. So it's edited, printed, and published by authority of Congress under the direction of the Secretary of State. So volume 48. So volume 48 in two parts. So part 1, public acts, acts, and resolutions. Part 2, private acts, and resolutions, concurrent resolutions, treaties, and conventions like the United Nations International Convention. Executive proclamations like executive order, martial law, and all that stuff, abrogating the gold, executor proclaiming, and agreements between them and whoever vote and agrees with them. I don't agree. Well, if you're using these laws, you do agree. It's implied, presumed, or assumed. 21st Amendment to the Constitution. It's the 21st Amendment to the Constitution. So part 1, United States Government Printing Office, Washington, D.C., District of Columbians, 1934. America has fallen. So public laws is public laws of the United States of America, passed by the 73rd Congress. Okay, we read all this stuff. That's all their beautiful intros because they were promoting it back then heavy. So here we go. It's called 112. It's 48 Stat 112, 73rd Congress, Session 1, CHS 46-48, June 3rd, June 5th, 1933. So let's begin. Oh yeah, they also call it Public Resolution number 10. Public Resolution number 10. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. I'm a man that loves to take note. I don't know about you, but I'm not foolish. I'm tired of hearing things and they go right out the other ear. So always take note. Hey, it's your own responsibility, man. Alright. To assure uniform value. To assure uniform considerable value. Now that gold and silver is gone. So to assure, ensure, and guarantee one value, uniform value, to the coins and currencies of the United States. So currency means like notes or whatever is going around, like current, like the currents of the water, currency, the ocean, the bank, you know what I'm saying, birth canal, dock, ship, shipment, delivery, a doctor, docker. So the word currency means things that go around. So notes go around, bonds go around, money orders go around, checks go around. Currency is not the same thing as gold and silver. So take note. We're dealing with currency when we're dealing with notes and bonds and things like that. That's why the mortgagee always loses your note. They don't have the original note because it's currency. It got to keep moving. Like the ocean, the motion. Don't get your emotions too caught up though. So to assure uniform value to the coins and currencies of the United States Corps, whereas the holding of or dealing in gold affect the public interest and are therefore subject to proper regulation. So it wanted to regulate our gold and silver and restriction and restrict us certain people from using it, which will create inequality. And whereas the existing emergency, because they were going through a bankruptcy during that time, and it was a national state of emergency, so we were under martial law. So under martial law, they were able to invoke war powers to steal our gold. And matter of fact, they never said that we're out of martial law, which means we might still be in martial law right now. And every president of the United States is literally a trustee or executor or administrator of a corporation. So you've been voting for corporate presidents, not because there's no presidents in a natural land. Everyone is their own sovereign and king. But in a corporation, there is always someone who's leading the corporation, someone with the bigger view type of thing, you know? So whereas the existing emergency has disclosed, it has disclosed that provisions of obligations of debt which purport to give the obligee a right to require payment. The obligee will be whoever's saying you owe him a right to require payment in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency of the United States. So the existing emergency has disclosed that provisions of obligations, laws and rules governing debt, which purport to give the obligee, the creditor, a right to require payment in gold from the debtor, but there's no gold or silver no more, which means you can't pay him, or a particular kind of coin or currency, so you cannot ask for any particular form of payment of the United States, because all debt is the United States, or in an amount in money of the United States measured thereby, obstruct the power of the Congress to regulate the value of the money of the United States. So to ask for if they ask you, hey, you must pay in dollars, that obstructs the power of the Congress to regulate the value of the money. If they're requesting payment in gold and silver or a particular type of coin, that obstructs the power of the Congress to regulate the value of the money, which means it's against public law, public policy. It's against this rule. So no one can ask you for payment in a particular form. They must receive it in a way that both people accept. Like, hey, I'll trade you this phone for that TV. You know what I'm saying? That's valuable consideration. Heck yeah. But if they're saying, hey, no, I can't give you this phone for that TV, you must give me dollars, that obstruct the power of the Congress to regulate the value. That's illegal. And it's illegal to be using dollars too, since it's a debt instrument. It's a note. Look on it. It's a Federal Reserve note, all caps. And it's above the United States, showing you that it's the crown of the United States, the one that owns your donkey. So they cannot ask for payment in a particular form. Our notes are acceptances for values. Our bonds, money orders, checks, discharging instruments, offset instruments, set-off instruments, all these things are payment. And that's why they had to create a Security Exchange Commission stock market, so they can be able to sell these notes to investors. This is what the whole stock market is. And that's why your birth certificate is being flipped in the stock market, yet it's worth $100 billion. And if you become the holder of it, which I do know how to do, contact me at godlessinourheart@hotmail.com. You can actually take ownership of that money and recoup your funds. Now, I have not done the whole recouping part yet because it's such a big move, such a big step. I've done everything else. You know, I've been a secured party creditor since 2013. You know, I've been studying this stuff before that, before 2012 and things like that. The Most High had endowed me with understanding, comprehension, wisdom, and knowledge, so I understand everything I see. I see through things. So, I took my time before I actually tried to like OID my birth certificate because I don't really like messing with things that I don't know all the way. You know what I'm saying? But I know for certain that if you accept for value that birth certificate, you become a holder of it. And because you're a holder of it, you're an entitled person that can enforce it. And on the birth certificate, it does not identify who the payee is. So that means it's like a blank check, a blank endorsement. So you can go ahead and claim it as a bearer and enforce that bond, that $100 billion bond. And if you get up to that level, you can eventually go recoup all your funds from the stock market and eventually take your bond off the shelf. So there's things that we can do. We do have powers. We do have powers. Indeed. So I'm going to read that one more time without the emphasis. So the existing bankruptcy emergency has disclosed that provisions of obligations which purport to give the obligee a right to require payment in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency of the United States or in an amount in money of the United States measured thereby, obstruct the power of the Congress to regulate the value of the money of the United States, and are inconsistent with the declared policy. It's a declared policy. Inconsistent means it's in breach of. Are inconsistent with the declared policy of the Congress to maintain at all times the equal power of every dollar. Equal power, uniform value. So if sand is valuable to somebody, you can pay them in sand. They cannot request for a particular form of payment. Coined or issued by the United States. Coined or issued by the United States, like a bond is issued by a United States citizen. So you can issue bonds for your straw man, which is a citizen of the FRB, the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States. Or backwards. Whatever. So in the markets and in the payment of debts. So they can't ask you for that in the markets at the store, which they do. They only take dollars, which is against this. And in payment of debt. So when you're discharging your mortgage, your debt, or whatever, they can't ask for a particular form. That's why your promissory note is the payment. Your promise to pay was an access to your account so they can get paid. Because you promised to pay them and you endorsed it, aka signed, signature. Watch out what you sign. So now, therefore, be it. So it became law. So now this is the 73rd Congress, Session 1, CHS 4849, June 5th, June 6th, 1933. So let me make sure I didn't miss anything up here. So uniform value of coins and currencies. And this is supposed to be an insurance, assurance. And it affects the public interest. It affects us because if we can't buy and pay and sell and do things, that would actually hamper or delay regular ordinary business. And that's not good too for commerce. Because all this is commercial, commerce. So resolve, 113. Boom. So resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. So resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that every provision contained in or made with respect to any obligation in regard to any debt, any provision, any rule in that presentment, which purports to give the obligee a right to require payment in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency, or in an amount in money of the United States measured thereby, is declared to be against public policy. So they reworded it in this section, is declared to be against public policing policy. Public policy is different than public law. And no public policy is made by corporations like an insurance policy. Public law is made by real people, flesh and blood, conscious, living, breathing men and women, endowed with unalienable rights, inalienable rights. It cannot be touched, it cannot be seen, it cannot be taken, bargained, dealt with, or sold. This is my rights. I have a right to say this stuff as long as I'm not hurting anybody. That's the only law. Think about it. I'm not with all the ignorance, man. It's death before dishonor. That's all I know. I praise Yah. These are just temporary solutions for this system that Yah appointed us to serve because of us breaking His commandments and His covenant and defiling the holy, eternal contract with Yah, which He made with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, our ancestors. I'm talking to the Negroes specifically, but this applies to every living, breathing, flesh and blood man and women on earth with a spirit and soul. Because my Maker gave you it. Your Maker, whatever you believe is your God, didn't give me nothing. I know my Maker and I know your Maker, and the word is in the script. Believe it or not, ignorance is death. Dead men walking. Zombies, jarheads, empty vessels. Come on, fill in the blank. Open up your eye and blink. Sila. So when no such provision shall be contained in or made with respect to any obligation hereafter incurred. Boom. They can easily change these things and repeal them. Every obligation heretofore or hereafter incurred, whether or not any such provision is contained therein or made with respect or in regard thereto, shall be discharged. Boom. It shall be discharged upon payment, upon presentment, dollar for dollar, at a discount, like a OID, in any coin or currency which at the time of payment is legal tender, like a note, like your promissory note. So any coin or currency. So this went against the Constitution in all types of ways. Which at the time of payment is legal tender, shall be discharged upon payment dollar for dollar. No such provision shall be contained in or made with respect to any obligation hereafter incurred that purport to give the obligee a right to require payment in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency, or in an amount in money of the United States measured thereby, is declared to be against public policy. So they must discharge this debt, this obligation, this presentment upon payment, acceptance or whatever, dollar for dollar, and which at the time of payment is legal tender for public and private debts. So any such provision contained in any law authorizing obligations to be issued by or under authority of the United States is hereby repealed. So any such provision contained in any law authorizing obligations to be issued by or under authority of the United States is hereby repealed. But the repeal of any such provision shall not invalidate any other provision, boom, or authority contained in such law. So B, as used in this resolution, the term obligation means an obligation, including every obligation of and to the United States, accepting currency. So the United States is obligated to pay all these debts, and the Treasury must discharge it upon receipt. Payable in money of the United States. So the term obligation means an obligation payable in money of the United States, which is gold and silver. The term coin or currency means coin or currency of the United States, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes, currency, your notes, your original note which they sold. The bank always tell you, oh, I lost it, we can't find it, making an affidavit of lost note, committing perjury at the same time, and they indemnify you, hoping you will never know what these terms mean. So currency or coin mean notes and circulating notes. It means Federal Reserve notes, FRNs, and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks, which would be your social, because you're a member of the Federal Reserve Bank because of the social. That makes you a federal baby, unless you distinct yourself from the straw man through making a bona fide claim upon it and all that stuff, and I know how to do all that. Contact me at godlivesinourheart@hotmail.com. Check out some of my other videos if you want to. It will explain it more. You need to make a claim on that straw man. So when you're using his stuff as power of attorney and stuff, you're not responsible for it. And when you have a mortgage on it, first creditor come, first creditor serve. So now you can use this account without being it or having taken responsibility for it, to use this account to discharge debt, because they're circulating notes of the Federal Reserve banks. It has a Federal Reserve Bank routing number on it, which comes from the back of the Social Security card from that letter, which connect to one of the 12 districts of the Federal Reserve, per or pursuant to the Federal Reserve Act. So the Federal Reserve actions has caused America or the United States to be dissolved or to become insolvent or bankrupt or indebted. And it caused all their people there too to lose their property. Even if the Federal Reserve Bank are creditors, you never want to be part of their jurisdiction, because their jurisdiction is the bar. So there's no way around this other than war, which is coming. So currency means circulating notes of the Federal Reserve banks and national banking associations, which will be like you. National Banking Association, the nation. That's what they call us, National Banking Associations, because we're associated with them through the Trading with the Enemy Act, the Associating with the Enemy Act, TWEA. Look that up too, because that's what gave war powers, and they call all of us combatants. They called us enemy combatants. So, Section 2. Hold on one second. Alright. So Section 2. The last sentence of paragraph 1 of subsection B of Section 43 of the Act, entitled an Act to relieve the existing national economic emergency by increasing agricultural purchasing power, purchasing land, minerals, mine heads, wellheads, all that stuff. To raise revenue, we're dealing with revenue now, for extraordinary expenses. So now they got elastic currency, which will allow them to make extraordinary expenses through bonds, book entry, and notes. Incurred by reason of such emergency. So this has incurred because of the emergency, the bankruptcy, which we're still in. To provide emergency relief. To provide emergency relief with respect to agricultural indebtedness. To provide for the orderly liquidation of joint stock land banks. Look up that word. And for other purposes approved May 12, 1933, is amended to read as follows. All coins and currencies of the United States, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks and national banking associations, heretofore or hereafter coined or issued, shall be legal tender for all debts, public and private, public charges, taxes, duties, and dues, except that gold coins, when below the standard weight and limit of tolerance provided by law for the single piece, shall be legal tender only at the valuation in proportion to their actual weight. 0.999. So approved June 5th, 1933, 4:40 p.m. Wow. Now that right there, I would send with my documents right there. That right there, because it's hard to find this actual copy anymore. So I'll call this Exhibit A if I was you, depending on what you're trying to do. So let's read these little things on the side. Clauses in obligations requiring gold, etc. Payments declared contrary to public policy. No future obligation to be so expressed. So it shouldn't even tell us that we owe them anything. Like, what you doing? What you mean I owe you money? Didn't you know you should be sending that to the feds? Payments to be made in legal tender. So payments can only be made in corporate currency. Conflicting corporate tender. Conflicting provisions repealed. United States Code, page 1003. Other provisions not invalidated. Term obligation defined. Coin or currency. National Economic Emergency Act amended. Coins and currencies as legal tender. Appraised gold coins according to weight. Alright, so we're done with this for now. I'll copy and paste all these notes somewhere else later to form my own powerful packet later. So now, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. Now this right here, let me see real quick. Alright, before we go to that, let's go to one a little bit more simpler. Alright, these right here. So this is in Title 31, United States Code 3103. Title 31, dealing with money and finance. Subtitle 3, Financial Management. Chapter 31, Public Debt. Public Debt, Financial Management, Money and Finance. Subchapter 1, Borrowing Authority. So section 3103, what's a note? Notes. A. With the approval of the President, the Secretary of the Treasury may borrow on the credit of the United States, which is based off of your good faith of the United States government, amounts necessary for expenditures to spend, authorized by law, like HJR 192, Public Law 73-10, and 48 Stat 112, and may issue notes, dollars, stuff like that, currency, of the government for the amounts borrowed, and may buy, redeem, and make refunds under sections 3111 of this title. So that's his borrowing powers, borrowing authority. And they're borrowing it from us, so they can borrow the funds to discharge our debt. So the Secretary of the Treasury, the administrator of your account, other than the IRS, International Revenue Service, the Secretary may prescribe conditions under section 3121 of this title, notwithstanding section 3121A5 of this title. The payment date of each series of notes, the payment date, the due date of each series of notes issued shall be at least 1 year, but not more than 10 years from the date of issue. So if it's 1 year late, I believe that you can send it to him still for discharge. B. The government may redeem any part of a series of notes before maturity. Redeem, recoup, OID any part of notes before maturity by giving at least 4 months notice, but not more than 1 year's notice. So C. The holder of a note, like your birth certificate note, a notice, memorandum, bond, of one series issued under this section with the same issue date as another series of notes issued under this section, may conversion to turn the note into a check and a check into dollars. The dollars should have been redeemed in gold and silver. At par value, a note of the holder for a note of the other series. So you can convert one note at par value for a note of the other series, in other words. So this is all in public law right here. Public Law 97-258, September 13th, 1982. 96 Stat 939. So you always have a statute at large for this. And this is the historical and revision notes. I'm not going to check all that out, but you can if you want. Less form of notes, certificates of indebtedness, and treasury bills. Alright. So in subsection A, the words in addition to the bonds and certificates of indebtedness and war savings certificates authorized by this act and amendments thereto are omitted as unnecessary. The words subject to the limitation imposed by section 75(7)(b) of this title are omitted as surplus. It's too much. The word government is added for consistency. The words for expenditures authorized by law are substituted for the purposes of this act. And to meet public expenditures authorized by law, public expenditures, public spending authorized by law. For clarity, oh man, hold on. Alright, for clarity, and because they are inclusive, the words under section 3111 of this title are substituted for at or before maturity, at or before maturity of any outstanding bonds, notes, certificates of indebtedness, or treasury bills of the United States. Because this is what they sell in the security stock market, is money. Because of the restatement, the words denomination or denominations are omitted because section 3121A of the revised title consolidates this authority in one section for the various types of debt instruments. And debt instruments are really debit instruments because they're not supposed to say you are obligated or owe anything technically, because everything been prepaid, it's been discharged already, dollar upon dollar. And they're borrowing from our own credit, our own faith. So that means we got mutual funds, municipal funds. And they issue municipal bonds and mutual bonds with our credit, without us receiving valuable consideration. Now my question to you is, why are we still broke? So the words under section 3121 of this title are substituted for containing such terms and conditions and at such rate or rates of interest, personal income, interest income. Because of the restatement, the words at not less than par except as provided in section 75(4)(b) of this title are omitted as superseded by section 3 of the Public Debt Act of 1942. Chapter 205, 56 Stat 189, restated in section 3121 of the revised title. The words notwithstanding section 3121A5 of this title are added for clarity because the section cited contains the general authority to which subsection A, last sentence of this section, is an exemption. In subsection B, the words at the option of, and under such rules and regulations, and during such period as he may prescribe, are omitted as surplus. Indeed. Subsection C is substituted for 31:753C to eliminate unnecessary words and for clarity and consistency. So that's cool. So that right there was Title 31. That deals with money and finance. Matter of fact, this is where HJR 192 been moved to. So let's go ahead and continue. So we've read this, that. Alright, let's check this out right here. This is in Title 31 as well. United States Code 3111. Title 31, Money and Finance. Subtitle 3, Financial Management. Chapter 31, Public Debt. Subchapter 1, Borrowing Authority. That is the caption of action, or the style. So section 3111, new issue, used to buy. So new issue, like issuing a bond, used to buy, redeem, or refund outstanding obligations. So in other words, new issue, used to buy, or new issues, used to redeem, or new issues used to buy outstanding obligations, because you can buy outstanding obligations, or new issues used to redeem outstanding obligations, to actually get a refund or whatever, redeem, or new issues used to refund outstanding obligations. So an obligation may be issued under this chapter to buy, redeem, or refund at or before maturity outstanding bonds, notes, certificates of indebtedness, treasury bills, or savings certificates of the United States government. So you can issue bonds to buy bonds, to discharge debt, in other words. So under regulations of the Secretary of the Treasury, and you can find these regulations on the Federal Reserve Board website, money received from the sale, whatever particular form of funds that you have gave them, received from the sale of an obligation. So they sell obligations and they make money from from selling your debt, the obligation. So debt is money. And other money in the general fund of the Treasury, and other money in the general fund of the Treasury may be used in making the purchases, redemptions, or refunds. Boom. So we can acquire property with debt, which is the notes, promise to pays, and bonds and all that stuff. We can redeem with those notes and bonds, and we can also get refunded because of those notes and bonds. And once you understand how to properly use this in the stock market and the security market, where they actually sell your notes, you'll be able to make a lot of money and take care of your children and family. Trust that. So I'm not at that point yet. I'm almost there. It's a lot of studying, you know. It's not an overnight thing. So the words regulations of are substituted for rules, regulations, terms, and conditions. May prescribe to eliminate unnecessary words. So I'm going to save this on the side. Let's go to the next one now. Hallelujah wa alayhim. Alright, let's check this. Oh, actually we'll check this one out last. Exemption from tax. Alright, this is in Title 31, United States Code 3123. So Title 31, Money and Finance. Subtitle 3, Financial Management. Chapter 31, Public Debit. Subchapter 2, Administrative. So Section 3123, Payment of Obligations and Interest on the Public Debt. Y'all gonna want to pay very close attention to what we're about to hear right here. And I'm not talking about the lawnmower. So, A, the faith of the United States, the faith. Us believers know that word very well, and the government have none of it. The faith, the honesty of the United States government is pledged to pay in legal tender principal and interest on the obligations of the government issued under this chapter. Wow. Wow. Did y'all just hear that? Let's read that again. That just gave you the key to heaven. The faith of the United States government, which is the people that form it, is pledged to pay. We're pledged to pay through the birth certificate and social in legal tender, which means not in a particular form of currency or coin. Principal and interest for discharge, a redemption of the interest OID, and a discharge of the principal on the obligations of the government issued under this chapter. So the United States is obligated to pay all that stuff, and the citizens of that sinking ship, abandoned ship. But everyone try to grab everything out of it before it falls. America is collapsing. Babylon has fallen. The stock market is about to crash. So B, the Secretary of the Treasury shall pay interest due or accrued on the public debt. All debts are public because we lost our ability to pay. They just hope that you never knew that they're obligated to discharge it. And once you do, they do their job. To be honest with you, the government is very honorable to their own laws. They don't respect no other law like Yah's law, but when it comes to their own laws, most of the time they follow it to the T. I'm telling you, man, these people, like, they may not want to let you know the truth. You know why they don't want you to know the truth? Because they know once you know it, they have to do what you say, and they will do what you say. They have to, and they will. And they know they can be in trouble. And the courts know they have to enforce it. So, like, they work according to the book. And for a long time, they've been working according to the book, but keeping the books from our eyesight. So our eyes did not fall upon the words that can redeem and save. Yasha. So as the secretary considers expedient, the secretary may pay in advance interest on the public debt by a period of not more than 1 year, with or without a rebate of interest on the coupons, the tickets, the vouchers. That's why the 1040V is a payment instrument itself. So C. That's probably why my A4V had worked. Yeah, I've got success with it in 2015. I'll put up my success story soon. It will probably be on the page once you by the time you actually see this video. Who knows? So C. 1. The secretary may issue a bond, note, or certificate of indebtedness. So they can actually issue, sell, or put on market your bonds, notes, or certificate of indebtedness, especially if you pay to the order of the Treasury. Authorized under this chapter. So it's authorized under this chapter. Whose principal and interest are payable in foreign currency, stated in the bond, note, or certificate. Like a birth certificate. It's literally like a certificate of indebtedness. A bond would be like a ticket, a promise to appear, a promise to perform. A note would be like a mortgage, where you promise to pay this amount. These are all payments. They're forms of payments. They're valuable. Your word is your bond. Your word is valuable. Your promise is valuable. Don't promise something you cannot keep. So the secretary may dispose of the bonds, notes, and certificates at a price that is at least par value, face value, without complying with section 3102B-D of this title. So 2. In determining the dollar amount of bonds, which should be on the face. So in determining the dollar amount of bonds, notes, and certificates of indebtedness that may be issued under this chapter, the dollar equivalent, dollar for dollar, of the amount of bonds, notes, and certificates payable in a foreign currency is determined by the par of the exchange value, like a bill of exchange. Currency is determined by the par of the exchange value. So it's an exchange, like the Security Exchange Commission. These are securities, assets, payment instruments, accounts receivable, extension of credit, lines of credit. On the date of issue of the bonds, notes, or certificates as published by the Secretary under Section 51 of this title. So 3. The Secretary may designate depositories like the DTCC or DTC, Depository Trust Clearing Corporation, in foreign countries, in which any part of the proceeds of bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness payable in foreign currency may be deposited. So the notes can be deposited. These notes are deposits. Open an escrow account and you can monetize this stuff. Hallelujah wa alayhim. Alright, so in subsection A, the words legal tender are substituted for in coin or its equivalent. In 731 and gold coin of the present standard of value in section 1 of the Act of February. Hold on, let's go ahead and highlight this real quick. So the words legal tender are substituted for in coin or its equivalent and gold coin of the present standard of value. So gold coin of the present standard of value, present standard of value. In section 1 of the Act of February 1st, 1910, and section 18D, 2D, sentence of the Second Liberty Bond Act. I would look that up if I was you. Because of section 1 of the Act of June 5th, 1933, chapter 48, stat 113. Wow. So the words obligations of the government are substituted for 31:731, first sentence, 18th last words thereof in 31:753D and 31:768. First 17 words for clarity and consistency and to eliminate unnecessary wording. The text of 31:731, last sentence, is omitted as executed. Obligations of the government. So in subsection B, the words cause to be out of any money in the treasury, not otherwise appropriated, falling any portion, and authorized by law in 31:732 are omitted as surplus. The text of 31:733, words between semicolon and colon, is omitted as unnecessary because of chapter 53 of the revised title. So the text of 31:733, words after colon, is omitted as superseded by the Bretton Woods Agreement Act. That's in the Title 22, United States Code 286 et sec. And Section 6 and 9 of the Act of October 1976, which is Public Law 94-564, 90 Stat 2661. And I probably will end up making a video on some of these things, but I may not. Maybe part of this series, it may not. Because this is going to be a series. We're going to actually cover a lot of things in here. So repealing 31:449, that provided for parity of the dollar on terms of gold and special drawing rights. So in subsection C, the word currency is submitted for money. So currency is money. Money is currency. We don't have true money in circulation. We have currency as money, or disguised as money. For clarity, and because of 1.1. So in subsection C1, the words "but not also in United States gold coin and in such manner" are omitted as surplus. In subsection C2, the words "dollar" before amount and value are added for clarity. The words "estimated by the director of the mint" and are omitted because of the source provisions restated in section 321C of the revised title. The word "published" is substituted for "proclaimed" for clarity. So publish and proclaim is the exact same thing. When you make a proclamation, you just publish something and made a public announcement. So in subsection C3, The words "as he may determine" are omitted as surplus. Hallelujah huwa alehim. So before wait, hold on, before I get out of that real quick, hold on, let me check out something. Let's go back up real quick. Title 31. The faith of the United States government is pledged to pay. Is pledged to pay. Is pledged to pay in legal tender, principal and interest on the obligations of the government issued under this chapter, the U.S. The Secretary of the Treasury shall pay interest due or accrued on the public debt. So if you're not accruing the interest in your account, is due, which means you're indebted to that interest accruing in the account. And you can get accrued interest out of an account with an OID, but please do not take this as legal or tax advice. There's a certain way to use everything in the forms, and I'm not touching on those things here. So it could have an adverse effect on you if you do not do your own due diligent research before getting all happy and filled up and joyful and blah, I'm going to do this now and all this stuff. Well, you can do what you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do or not do, but I'm telling you, don't get me involved in what you choose to do, because you are in control of your own self. So now, in Chapter 31, Title 31, United States Code 5118. So it's still in money and finance. We're in Subtitle 4 now, dealing with money. Chapter 51, coins and currency, or money. Subchapter 2, general authority. So what you call money today is nothing but currency. It's paper notes, paper money, not in a particular form. Although people want dollars all the time. So Section 5118, gold clauses and consent to sue. So A, in this section, 1, gold clause means a provision in or related to an obligation alleging to give the obligee a right to require payment in A, gold, B, a particular United States coin or currency, or C, United States money measured in gold or a particular United States coin or currency. So this is HJR 192 upgraded or updated or relocated. 2. Public debt obligation means a domestic obligation issued or guaranteed by the United States government to repay money or interest. So this is guaranteed, it's assured, a promise, an insurance, and everything that you have been pledged to enforce and enact this. The United States been pledged to pay all this stuff. So it's guaranteed by the United States government, not the citizens, to repay money or interest. Like a slave that can't pay for his own food because he doesn't have a job, he doesn't get paid, so his master got to feed him, clothe him, shelter him. We're pretty much slaves, or your straw man is. So B, the United States government may not pay out any gold coin. A person lawfully holding United States coins and currency may present the coins and currency to the Secretary of the Treasury, boom, for exchange dollar for dollar for other United States currency or coins other than gold and silver coins that may be lawfully held. Boom. Did y'all hear that? That's what you needed to hear right there. A person lawfully holding United States coins and currency, like a note, bond, money order, check, etc., may present the coins and currency to the Secretary of the Treasury for exchange dollar for dollar for other United States coins and currency, like dollars, other than gold and silver coins that may be lawfully held. So the Secretary shall make the exchange under regulations prescribed by the Secretary. So the Secretary shall, not should, but shall, or will, shall make the exchange under regulations prescribed by the Secretary of the Treasury. So look up those regulations which are posted on the Federal Reserve Bank Board website. So C, the government withdraws its consent given to anyone to assert against the government, its agencies, or its officers, employees, or agents a claim A, on a gold clause public debt obligation or interest on the obligation, B, a claim for United States coins or currency, or C, a claim arising out of the surrender, requisition, seizure, or acquisition of United States coins or currency, gold or silver, involving the effect or validity of a change in the metallic content of the dollar, or in a regulation about the value of money. Wow. So they can repay you back in the form that they choose to repay you back in. Can ask them for a particular thing too. Alright, so 2, paragraph 1 of this subsection does not apply to a proceeding in which no claim is made for payment or credit in an amount greater than the face or nominal value in dollars of public debt obligations or United States coins or currency involved in the proceeding. So 3, except when consent is not withdrawn under this subsection, consent, an amount appropriated for payment, amount promulgated for payment on public debt obligations and for United States coins and currency may be expended only dollar for dollar. So they have to give you Federal Reserve notes. They don't give you United States currency. United States currency would be like your note. That would be United States currency, since your straw man or you is implied or purported to be the citizen. So that would be a citizen's United States currency. But when they pay you, it can only be dollar for dollar. You're getting dollars for this stuff. So all they can do is give you a check or something like that so you can exchange it in dollar. They wouldn't give you dollars, the Feds. They wouldn't mail you dollars in the mail. They would mail you a check, and then you go ahead and do what's illegal. Turn it into illegal private corporate dollars. Because you're not supposed to use dollars unless you're part of the Federal Reserve Bank. And if you're using those dollars, their statutes do apply to you. And it's illegal to use debt to discharge debt. So obviously, the debt is not debt. It's money. That's the only logical sense I can come to with that. That the debt, the note, is actually not a debt or a note. It's actually a payment note, a payment instrument, a order, a command, a demand. So D, 1. In this subsection, obligation means any obligation except United States currency, payable in United States money. So United States currency, like your promissory notes, is not an obligation. It's not a debt. So in this subsection, obligation means any obligation payable in United States money. Currency. Or gold and silver. That's what they meant right there. United States money, per the Constitution, will be gold and silver. So 2. An obligation issued containing a gold clause or governed by a gold clause is discharged on payment dollar for dollar in United States coin or currency that is legal tender at the time of payment. So this paragraph does not apply to an obligation issued after October 27, 1977. Alright, let's continue on. Hope you guys are learning a lot. These things should definitely go in your cover letters, your discharge instrument. So let's read these right here. So in subsection A, before clause 1, the words the phrase are omitted as surplus. In clause 1, the words declared to be against public policy by section 463 of this Title 31 are omitted as surplus. So it's against public policy. Clause 2, to ask for a particular form of payment. So clause 2 is substituted for 31 semicolon 773D, words after semicolon, for consistency in the revised title and to eliminate unnecessary words. So in subsection B, the words after January 30th, 1934 in 315B are omitted as executed. The words that may be lawfully held are substituted for which may be lawfully acquired and are legal tender for public and private debts. In 31 semicolon 773A, for consistency in the subsection and to eliminate unnecessary words. The words "and that the owners of the gold clause securities of the United States shall be at their election entitled to receive immediate payment of the stated dollar amount, face value amount thereof, with interest to the date of payment, or to prior maturity, or to prior redemption date, whichever is earlier, in section 1 of the Act of August 27, 1935, chapter 780, 49 stat 938, are omitted as expired. So that should be looked into as well. So the words "make the exchange" are substituted for "make such exchanges and payments upon presentation." Boom. Upon presentation hereunder, to eliminate unnecessary words. The words "no gold shall after January 30th, 1934 be coined" in 31 semicolon 315B are omitted because of section 5112 of the revised version, the revised title. So the text of 31 semicolon 315B provision is omitted as unnecessary because of the restatement. The text of 31 semicolon 315B last sentence is omitted as executed. In subsection C1, before clause A, the word "government" is substituted for "United States" for consistency in the revised title and with other titles of the United States Code, the government's code. The words "to anyone" are added for clarity. The words "whether by way of suit, counterclaim, set-off, recoupment, or other affirmative action or defense in its own name or in the name of" are omitted as surplus. The word "employees" is added for consistency in the revised title and with other titles of the code. The word "instrumentalities" is omitted. Instrumentalities, channels, mediums, agencies is omitted as unnecessary because of section 101 of the revised title. So the word "claim" is substituted for "right, privilege, or power" to eliminate unnecessary words and for consistency in the revised title and with other titles of the code. The words "in any proceeding of any natural whatsoever" are omitted as surplus. In clause C, the words "or the words or demand are omitted as surplus. In subsection C2, the words any suit commenced prior to August 27, 1935, or which may be commenced by January 1st, 1936, are omitted as executed. The words referred to in this section are omitted as surplus. In subsection C3, the words may be expended are substituted for an amount appropriated or authorized to be expended. And shall be is corporate expenses, corporate expenses, and shall be available for or expended in, and the words dollar for dollar are substituted for on an equal and uniform dollar for dollar basis. Now we're learning what this dollar for dollar terminology truly means. Do you feel me? To eliminate unnecessary words. So in subsection D1, the words including every obligation of and to the United States are omitted as surplus because it's the obligation of them. Alright. Alright, let's check this out real quick. So amendments. So Public Law 105-61 struck out at end. This paragraph shall apply to any obligation issued on or before October 27, 1977, notwithstanding any assignment or novation of such obligation after October 27, 1977, unless all parties to the assignment, transfer, or conveyance or novation specifically agreed to include a gold clause in the new agreement. Nothing in the preceding sentence shall be construed to affect the enforceability of a gold clause contained in any obligation issued after October 27, 1977, if the enforceability of that gold clause has been finally adjudicated before the date of enactment of the Economic Growth and Regulatory Paperwork Reduction Act of 1996. So, nothing in the preceding sentence shall be construed to affect the enforceability of a gold clause. That kind of contradicts HJR 192 to a degree, but I think they upgraded. And that would be found in this section right here. Alright, and it says something similar in this section too. Public Law 104-208. So subsection B of the 1985 Public Law 99-185 struck out or deliver after payout and inserted other than gold and silver coins before that may be lawfully held. So last part, except that no coins may be issued or sold under section 5112 of this title before October 1st, 1986. So if you want to check out the rest of that, you can. But that right there just gave it all away. This just gave it all away. So the Secretary shall make the exchange under regulations prescribed by the Secretary. So alright. Let's go ahead, and I want to read something else to you real quick. Let me see if I can potentially find it. Alright. Hope is here. Hold on 1 second, my loves. Hopefully I can find what I'm looking for real quick. Alright, come on. Alright. This right here is the Federalist number 44, restrictions on the authority of the several states. So there's restrictions on them. New York Packet, Friday, January 25th, 1788. James Madison, to the people of the state of New York, Jekyll Island, New York. So a fifth class of provisions in favor of the federal authority consists of the following restrictions on the authority of the several states. 1. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit. Only the people can do that. The banks and the states cannot. So they need the people's consent to get access to their accounts, their credit. Nor can they make anything but gold and silver a legal tender in payment of debt. So they cannot pass any bill of attainder. Ex post facto law, because all these laws that we're reading are de facto. Or law impairing the obligation of contracts. It cannot interfere with contracts. Or grant any title of nobility, like judge, sheriff, officer, doctor, all this stuff. So, hold on. So the prohibition against treaties, alliances, and confederations makes a part of the existing Articles of Union, the United States, and for reasons which need no explanation is copied into the new Constitution. Because they made a new Constitution as they started off as Federalists and Confederate and all this other stuff, and they were always trying to build a business anyways, a corporation. They never had good intent. Your founding forefathers of America had no good intent. At least not for my people. Hell no. And we had built Wall Street under slavery. And we've been sold on Wall Street and Black Street. Actually, that's what they used to call it, Black Street. They didn't call it Wall Street. So the prohibition of letters of marque is another part of the old system, but is somewhat extended in the new. So according to the former, letters of marque could be granted by the state after a declaration of war. Only after war, not during a time of peace. According to the latter, these licenses must be obtained as well during war as previous to its declaration of independence from the government of the United States. So this alteration is fully justified by the advantage of uniformity in all points which relate to foreign powers, and of immediate responsibility to the nation and all those for whose conduct the nation itself is to be responsible. Immediate responsibility to the nation and all those for whose conduct the nation itself is to be responsible. This is in the Federalist, what you call it, the Federalist number 44. And a fifth class of provisions in favor of the federal authority, the Federalist. So the right of coining money, which is here taken from the states, was left in their hands by the Confederation as a concurrent right with that of Congress, under an exception in favor of the exclusive right of Congress to regulate the alloy and value. In this instance also, the new provision is an important improvement on the old. This is an improvement on the old. They went through a couple of revisions of their constitution. That's why it's called amendments. To repent. Repentance. Nakam. For the kingdom of Yah is at hand. So whilst the alloy and value depended on the general authority, a right of coinage in the particular states could have no other effect than to multiply expensive mints and diversify the forms and weights of the circulating pieces. The United States Mint, something very important to understand, because it did govern our old gold and silver system, money system. So the latter inconveniency defeats one purpose for which the power was originally submitted to the federal head. And as far as the former might prevent an inconvenient remittance of gold and silver to the central mint for recoinage, the end can be as well attained by local mints established under the general authority of the feds. This was the real feds. Not the Federal Reserve Bank, but the actual feds. But I could be wrong. These people lied to us for so long. So long. So the extension of the prohibition to bills of credit must give pleasure to every citizen in proportion to his love of justice and knowledge of the true springs of public prosperity. The loss which America has sustained since the peace from the pestilent effects of paper money, dollars, on the necessary confidence between man and man, confidence, trust, faith between man and man. Faith is money. That's money. Promises is money. On the necessary confidence in the public councils, on the industry and morals of the people. Basic principles to not deceive, not to lie, not to engage in deceptive practices or unfair practices. And on the character of Republican government, that was the form of Republican government we had before, by the people, for the people, constitute an enormous debt against the states chargeable with this unadvised measure, which must long remain unsatisfied, or rather an accumulation of guilt which can be expiated no otherwise than by a voluntary sacrifice on the altar of justice, of the power which has been the instrument of it, justice, equality. So in addition to these persuasive considerations, it may be observed that the same reasons which show the necessity of denying to the states the power of regulating coin prove with equal force that they ought not to be at liberty to substitute a paper medium in the place of coin or metal. So they weren't allowed to substitute gold and silver with money, and they did through the abrogation of gold clause, We've been under war for a while when we've been trading with the enemy. They've been hoping we stay asleep so we wouldn't wake up like, wait, hold up, we're in a fight. You know? 11:44 a.m. Hallelujah. Kwam Israel. 144,000 saved. This has nothing to do with this topic. Well, somewhat. So had every state a right to regulate the value of its coin? If it did, there might be as many different currencies as states, and thus the intercourse among them would be impeded. It would impede normal commerce because currency would be in whatever form we choose it to be, just like HJR 192 said. And the Congress wants to regulate gold and silver, and they cannot do it because of gold and silver being in play. So now they're regulating the value of his coin, and to inflate and deflate the money, to drop the value of the dollar down. But on the face of the dollar, it still says $1, and George Washington's face is still on the front. But the value of the dollar decreases, so now it seems like you need more dollars to make one, pretty much. You know, pretty much when they decrease the value of the dollar, you need like $10 or $20 to make one real dollar. But $10 or $20 to you look like $10 or $20. They don't look like the value move, right? They don't put half a dollar on the dollar, right? So what they do is behind the scene, invisibly, they decrease the value of the dollar or the meaning of it. You know what I'm saying? So not much people invest in it or care about it. So then prices rise up. You see, prices either rise up or they go down. And the only time that they decrease the prices of things like gas and things like that is when they want to start to manipulate the people's confidence again. And when people get confident and they're getting discounts and all that, they think they're getting discounts and doing all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? And the people are buying more and the economy seems like it's boosting. Then bloop bloop, they drop the value of the money, they increase the price of everything, and now you can't even keep up with your bills or all the stuff you just brought when the economy was good. So inflation, deflation, you know, increasing the money supply, decreasing the money supply, rising value of product or demand, and decreasing value of product and demand. And I can't believe I went to college to learn a little bit about business, man, because they taught me a lot in there. Man, I wish I was awake like I am now, though, while I was going. That and psychology class taught me a lot. So I do have some experience in the stuff I'm talking about. I just don't know everything. And I'm not affiliated with no gang, group, or cult. I'm all by myself. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Part of the holy nation of Israel. My people are scattered everywhere because we're under punishment right now. So we will be forming our nation back again. And we will be the Hebrew Israelites like Congress assembled. So assemble, my people. Kowam, resurrect from the death. So retrospective alterations in its value might be made, and thus the citizens of other states be injured. And that's exactly what they did. It's almost like they gave away the plot that they should do by telling them what they should not do. It opened their mind into what they could do to destroy us. And animosities be kindled among the states themselves. Division. The subjects of foreign powers might suffer from the same cause, and hence the union be discredited and embroiled by the indiscretion of a single member, like Obama. No one of these mischiefs is less incident to a power in the states to emit paper money. So it's mischief for them to actually emit paper money, dollars. That's not money. You working for a promise. I worked 10 hours today for a promise? Oh my gosh, lucky I can spend it. But did I truly work for value? Or have I been dumbed down to accept nothing as value? Because people accept nothing as value, and we're all stupid together and accept nothing as value, and no one wants to break out of the cycle. These mischiefs is less incident to a power in the states to emit power, paper money, than to coin gold or silver. So it would have been better that they had coined gold and silver and put their name on it than to give you paper money. So the power, because you can weigh out the money to see the value. With paper, you can't weigh it out, so it's fiat. You know what I'm saying? It's like a water pill. It has no value. So when you give it to me, I can't tell the value of it. That's why they can increase it, decrease it, manipulate it on the puppet string from the puppet master, which is aka the plantation slave master. We're under slavery. So the power to, I'm serious. And we're gonna have to fight our way out. Believe it or not, those who give up freedom for safety deserve neither. Because why should I be killed on the field fighting for freedom and fighting for us while you hiding under a table waiting for Zeus to come from the sky? Don't you understand they did that to you, fool? Stupid? Man, come on. Yah works with you, not for you. You can be a fat potato sitting on the couch and be like, oh Jesus, in the name of Jesus, and murmur all day and night, singing hallelujah, all this stuff all day. But if you don't go out there and exercise and stop eating bad food, you'll never lose weight. The Most High don't do things for you. He does it with you. He does it through you. And that's how He do it for you. In other words, your own action is what initiates the Most High's action. I'm not saying you're the Most High. But there's something that propels us to think the right thing. And that right thought makes us act the right way and do the right thing. That is Yah. That's right. Wake up, my people. We got to do something. Or we're all going to die and get wiped out. Especially Yaisians. Because we were the first ones to wipe these people out. And they hate us. Remember the name of who did it. Toussaint Louverture et Jean-Jacques Dessalines. C'est l'union qui fait la force. En allez. So the power to make anything but gold and silver a tender in payment of debts is withdrawn from the states. So they cannot use anything but gold and silver. So there was you can tell there was a fight back then between the Federalists and stuff like that and the Federal Bank of the Bar. On the same principle with that of issuing a paper currency. So we're supposed to be able to issue paper currency, dollars, notes. So bills of attainder, ex post facto laws, and laws impairing the obligation of contracts are contrary to the first principles of the social compact and to every principle of sound legislation. It's against it. How can people live a life if they can't contract at will and terminate contract at will, right? They got to be a right of rescission, right? So the two former are expressly prohibited by the declarations. So two former are expressly prohibited by the declarations prefixed to some of the state constitutions. And all of them are prohibited by the spirit and scope of these fundamental charters, fundamental banks. We've been fighting against the bank for quite a while. Our own experience has taught us, nevertheless, that additional fences against these dangers ought not to be omitted. So whatever fences and walls we can create to stop these banks from trying to control us and control our money, control the value and all that stuff, should be embraced. Because we got to put up some walls, some perimeters, you see, some proxies, and protect ourselves from these men. And sometimes women. They have no order up there. I mean down there, way down there. So very properly, therefore, have the convention added this constitutional bulwark, this constitutional wall, made it precise, evident, conspicuous, in favor of personal security and private rights. Boom. And I am much deceived if they have not in so doing, as faithfully consulted the genuine sentiments as the undoubted interests of their constituents. So I guess some of their forefathers were pretty, had at least some decency in them. Like, they're not as they are today. You know, I'd rather how it was back then than it is today. But back then, my people were enslaved while these people were making these laws. And it was illegal for my people to read during that time. So I don't really support America as the pilgrims from England that came to America. But I do support this land, which I was born and raised in. But you know what? So much innocent blood been spilled on this land. Like, I can't really tell the Most High he wrong for destroying America completely. America deserves punishment. And I am much deceived if they have not, in so doing. So very improperly, therefore, have the convention added this constitutional bulwark in favor of personal security and private rights. And I am much deceived if they have not, in so doing, as faithfully consulted the genuine sentiments as the undoubted interest, the faithful interest of their constituents, of those who had become officials of the Constitution. So the sober people, the sound mind people of America are wary of the fluctuating policy which has directed the public councils, the government, lawyers, police, and all possessed by the devil. They have seen with regret and indignation that sudden changes in legislative interferences in cases affecting personal rights, like our home, and our jobs, and our welfare, become jobs in the hands of enterprising or business and influential speculators, those who are attempting to manipulate us through the food, water, air, and everything that they know we need. They know we need. And snares to the more industrious and less informed part of the community, like the ghettos. And they're industrialized. They were manufactured to be broke in the ghetto to look the way it look. It's an attack to keep us low. And it's a snare, just like the scriptures say, it's a trap. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide what they're doing, because the Most High shall unravel and he shall unravel and unveil everything. There shall be no rock left unturned, and he is a revealer of mysteries, the occult, and the secret things. How do you think I know what I know? Because of me? All due praise to Yah, man. Come on, hallelujah. This man will never bow down to the devil. Hell no. Death before dishonor. Let's war instead. Let's fight. They don't know me. And I'm not no bum-ass Christian. I don't fight. I'm a Hebrew Israelite like King David and Moses. I fight. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, my Savior. So they have seen too that one legislative interference is but the first link of a long chain of repetitions. World War III, it happened 2 times already. Every subsequent interference being naturally produced by the effects of the preceding, of them doing what they're not supposed to do. It's an interference. They very rightly infer, therefore, that some thorough reform is wanting. So there need to be a thorough reform. Some guidelines, limitations, boundaries, some rules. Come on. Think about it. Life without rules, what is that? Especially when you're a child growing up with a bunch of rules at home. Where the heck were their parents at? So which will banish speculations on public measures, inspire a general prudence in industry, jurisprudence, and give a regular course to the business of society. We are the business, and the international incorporations have taken over our land. You don't see no family-owned businesses no more, if you actually think about it. So the prohibition with respect to titles of nobility is copied from the Articles of Confederation and needs no comment. So 2. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws. And the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States. And look how Treasury is spelled the right way. To import, to export. Nowadays we only import. There's nothing made or manufactured by Americans no more. They destroyed us from the inside. Babylon has fallen. Modern day Egypt. Obama, the modern day Pharaoh. The American Pharaoh. Look on the back of your dollar bill. You see the pyramid and the eye of Horus. The eye of Lucifer, rebuking Yahuwah's name, and destroy Illuminati with true light. Ha, I illuminate. I illuminate, I meant. Not illuminate, but luminate. Luminescent. Like a fluorescent light. Flourish. Wake up, my people. Wake up. They're coming. You don't got much time left, man. So I passing all these gay laws and all that. Y'all gonna come destroy us if we don't get out of here. Babylon is fallen. So when all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. Now President Obama don't even listen to the Congress. They've been kicked out of the picture. So everything is being destroyed. And everything I'm telling you now will be obsolete soon. Or it probably is. And you won't know it until you start talking about certain things in court and you go straight to jail. Because they don't live the way they used to live anymore. Somehow, some way, everybody fell at the same time. That's horrible. You would think it would be one person falling out one at a time. Somehow, some way, I think there was a secret war in Congress, in government, and these pirates took over, and they just changed, the name from upper and lowercase to all caps, so they're not lying to a degree. And then they started operating and giving out privileges and benefits as if they're the real government. And a lot of people fell for it, so they got our consent. They got jurisdiction over us through zip code, birth certificate, social security, driver's license. When you sign that promise to appear on that ticket, a registration, license plate, insurance, all these things, They make sure you're bonded before you even travel. Just like a lawyer and judge must be bonded before they practice law. So you are an officer of the state corporation and you don't know it. This is why they've been putting you in jail and harassing you the way they have. Because you promised to perform. But. Remember what I told you about the whole Walmart thing again? Where is the contract that proves it? So no state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty on tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state, like an instrumentality, interstate commerce, or with a foreign power, like the bar, or engage in war unless actually invaded, or in such eminent danger as will not admit of delay. So that makes sense. These are bulwarks. So the restraint on the power of the states over imports and exports is enforced by all the arguments which prove the necessity of submitting the regulation of trade to the federal councils, the real federal councils. It is needless, therefore, to remark further on this head than that the manner in which the restraint is qualified. There's a restraint, like a restraining order, on their power. Statutes of limitation. Seems well calculated at once to secure to the states a reasonable discretion in providing for the conveniency of their imports and exports, and to the United States a reasonable check against the abuse of this discretion. The remaining particulars of this clause fall within reasonings which are either so obvious or have been so fully developed that they may be passed over without remark, without rebuttal. And by the way, these laws were made for them, not us. So the sixth and last class consists of the several powers and provisions by which efficacy is given to all the rest. So the sixth and last class consists of the several powers and provisions by which efficacy is given to all the rest. So one of the let me see. Alright, so we're going to be pausing there for now. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but everything else has to do with something else. What I really wanted to show you over there, I'll probably read the rest of this in a different video. Wow, and they're saying all this stuff too. So I'll see you guys in part 2, because there's a lot to say about this subject and there's not enough time. I think you guys need to take a pause, a sila, a break, and just meditate on what you heard today. Do some research on some of this stuff that our eyes stumbled across. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Share the truth, share the word. If you do want to get in contact with me, you can contact me at godlivesinOurheart@hotmail.com. And at the current moment, I am helping people become creditors, secure party creditors and things like that, to secure their asset and protect their asset for a consideration of $90 or a value of $90. At the moment, I do not accept no acceptance for values at the moment, because I'm still learning on what to do with it technically, and I'm not ready for that yet, and it would not be valuable consideration for me at the moment, until I can understand how this whole thing is functioning and work. But these guys you see in front of us right now, they know exactly how it works, and that's why they're so rich. They balling. All due praise to Yah. I'm yalling. Shalom, y'all.